the ring if you have the band, or you could just use your hands if you don't have any props. You're gonna pull the leg in and pull it towards you for a stretch. As you're laying here back onto your back, you're lengthening the back of the neck, pulling the belly in, shrugging your shoulders down out of the ears. Take a deep breath up high in the rib cage. As you exhale, think about forcing every ounce of air out of the lungs. Now you're gonna hold on to the right leg or the band or the ring and drop it out to the side. If you're stretching the left leg, it's fine. Just take the left leg out to the side. You're gonna try and keep your hips facing the ceiling so your pelvis is squared off. Keep pulling on that leg to deepen the stretch. Keep lengthening the leg down onto the floor. Remember that you can keep it bent if that feels better on the low back. Otherwise, keep it long and straight to deepen the stretch. And you're gonna bring the leg up and then cross over the center line with that leg, but not a dramatic crossover because you still wanna keep the hips on the floor. Lengthening the back of the neck, still focus on the Pilates breath up high in the rib cage. Pull the leg in a little deeper. And then when you bring it right back to center, you'll do one more stretch. And then we're gonna switch, go to the other side. Pulling it straight in. Lengthening the lower leg too, down onto the floor. Now drop the leg out to the side and stretch. Hold it a little deeper. I think I clicked mute all, but maybe I didn't. Now we are muted. Now we're all muted. After that inner thigh stretch, you're gonna bring it back to center and cross over the center line. Try to pull the foot towards the opposite shoulder. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Hold it a little deeper if you can, and then bring it right back to center. So we're gonna hold the ball or the ring in your hands. If you don't have anything, just reach your arms straight to the ceiling. Your knees are bent and your feet are flat on the floor. With your arms straight to the ceiling, you're just gonna move the shoulder blades. Pull the shoulder blades together and then shoulder blades apart. Together and apart. Think lengthening the back of the neck. You're pulling the belly in, breath up high in the rib cage, and your feet are flat, pressing down into the floor. We're gonna do one more, shoulder blades spread apart, and then shoulder blades pulled together and hold together. If you have that ball or ring, squeeze it tighter between your hands. You're gonna curl the upper spine up. Curl up, look into the belly, and then rest head and shoulders back down. Exhale as you curl up. Inhale, resting. Forcing the air out of the lungs. Remember, every time you take that deep breath, the breath is up high in the rib cage, so the abdomen does not lift with the breath. We'll do one more, and then you can rest back down. Now the legs are gonna come up to tabletop, and we're gonna do the toe taps. You can do this with your hands by your side if you don't wanna hold the ring or the ball. You can also do this with head and shoulders down, but if you can, curl up, look into the belly, stay curled up, still squeeze the ring or ball, and this is alternating toe taps. So one leg goes down, bring it up, other leg goes down, and then bring it up. So while you're curled up, you want that feeling of pulling ribs towards your hips, your abs are tight and pulled in, squeeze the ring or ball tighter, hopefully you're still breathing. Now to work a little bit harder, glue the legs together, stay curled up, and now both legs lower and lift. And you're just tapping the toes of the floor, keeping that stiff bend in the knees. You don't want to move the knee joint, so make sure the movement is in the hips. Lower and lift. Now you're going to get the feet real close to the floor and hold it. So the feet are just hovering off the mat, but they're not touching. Reach those arms longer, shoulders down and back, still breathing, pulling the belly in. And then you can rest your feet. You can relax the arms, but if you have the ring or ball, keep it with you. Drop your knees to one side for a spine twist. And then we'll bring the knees up and over to the other side. We're going to go into the 100. So with this one, we're going to put the ring or the ball between the ankles, and we're going to squeeze as tight as possible. If you don't have the ball or the ring, you just keep the legs together. Sometimes people can use a yoga block. If you had one of those, you can put that between the legs. But curl up, look into the belly, lengthen the legs out to straight. Remember, you can keep your head down if you don't want to curl up. The arms are long and reaching. You're going to start pumping the arms. Inhaling for 5, exhaling for 5. Try to squeeze those legs tighter together. Point the feet, reach through the toes. Keep the arms long. Try to curl up higher too. And you want the feeling pulling the belly in deeper. And while you're curled up, you're watching your abs stay tight and pulled in as you're inhaling. Inhaling for 5 counts. Exhale for 5 counts. Try to get the legs a little bit lower if you can. Keep trying to squeeze the legs together. Curling up a little bit higher. And reaching long arms too. Keep the shoulders shrugging down. Keep those arms close into your body. Inhaling for 5. Exhaling for 5. This is your last 10 count. Now after you exhale, you're going to hold everything still, curl up higher, and then you can rest back down. So we're going to use the ring or the ball between your hands. Otherwise, just do reaching arms. This is a roll up. Our legs are down onto the floor. They're together. Your feet are flexed. You're going to curl up, bringing head and shoulders off the floor and stretch all the way up over the legs. Stack your spine up to straight and then roll back down. Now a modified version of your roll up would be to have the legs kind of bent, and as you curl up, you walk your hands up the back of the legs, and then you can fold forward, stack back up, and then roll down. Another option is to start seated, then roll down just before you feel like you're gonna fall, then you come up and stretch out over the legs. So you could start seated, roll down just before you feel like you're gonna collapse, you come back up and stretch forward over the legs. Remember, if you have that ball or ring, you're squeezing it tighter. Trying to come all the way up off the floor, stretch a little further, squeeze the legs together, squeeze the ring tighter, and then rolling back down. Gotta let somebody in here. Nancy's coming in. After you roll back down to the floor, you're gonna stay down there on the floor, and your knees are bent with your feet flat. So arms are still straight to the ceiling, squeezing the ring or the ball if you have it. Start with an imprint to the spine. Every vertebrae is pressing down, and then lift the hips up. If you don't have the ball or the ring between your hands, you could just keep your arms by your side too. Roll your spine all the way back down. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lift the hips up. Holding, still squeeze that ball or ring, and then rolling back down. Now the next one, we're gonna get the hips up and hold it. Hold the hips up high into the bridge, and then we're gonna do alternating leg kicks. One leg reaches up, lower down, other leg reaches up and lower down. So while you're reaching that leg long to the ceiling, the lower leg is pressing harder into the floor. Try to squeeze the ring a little bit tighter. If your arms are down by your side on the floor, just press them harder into the mat. Do one more kick on each side, or at least even up your set. And then when both feet are on the floor, hold for a deep breath, and then roll your spine all the way back down into your rest. Next time we get the hips up, we're gonna hold it again. Hold the hips up high into that bridge. If you have the ring, squeeze it. Kick one leg to the ceiling and keep it there. This straight leg is gonna lower halfway, kick it back up. Lower and lift. Trying to keep the hips up. Keep your abs tight and pulled in. Reach that leg longer like you're trying to reach out of the hip joint. Go ahead and rest the foot to the floor. We're gonna switch, same thing on the other leg. Straight leg, lower and lift. Still taking the deep breath up high in the rib cage. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Do your last lower and lift. Bring both feet to the floor, hold, take a deep breath, and then slowly roll back down until you rest. So let's get rid of the ball or the ring. On this one, I want you to have your legs at tabletop position, and we're gonna go through our ab series. With the ab series, you can keep your head down. You don't have to curl up. If you can though, curl up, look into the belly, hug one knee into your chest, other leg lengthens away, and then you switch. When you lengthen that leg out, think force in there out of the lungs. Shoulders are still sliding down out of the ears. Drawing the navel in deeper. Remember to always take breaks if you need it. We're gonna move on to double leg stretch. So glue the legs together. As both legs go forward, your arms reach back, and then you come right back into a little ball. You reach, and then you come back in. Now you do not want head and shoulders to fall down, and then you curl up. You wanna try to stay curled up the whole time as you're moving the arms and legs. Focus on squeezing the inner thighs together, pulling the belly in. Do one more. When you bring the legs together, hold together, we're gonna go into scissor kicks. So one leg to the ceiling, one leg falls down. Pull that leg in as hard as you can and then switch. Remember, you can still do this with head and shoulders down on the floor. But if you can deepen the stretch, try to reach out to the heels. Shoulders are still shrugging down out of the ears. I know I repeat myself over and over, but you quickly forget. Reach for longer legs. Now bring both legs to the ceiling and then point the feet. You're gonna rest on head and shoulders. Arms are down by your side and press the shoulders to the floor. Glue the legs together. Both legs are gonna lower and lift. And when you're lowering and lifting the legs, pay attention to the pelvis and the low back here. You do not wanna feel the pelvis move or the low back change from your start position. So wherever the low back is when your legs are up, try to maintain it as the legs go down and up. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Do one more. And then you can come right back up. When you bend your knees, we're gonna cross one ankle over the opposite knee and just do a little hip. Oh, we forgot crisscross. Sorry, don't do your stretch yet. Crisscross is the last one. Fingers are laced together, elbows are wide, hands are behind your head and curl up as high as you can looking into the belly. You're gonna twist towards the bent leg and then switch. Think bringing the air out of the lungs too when you twist. Reach that leg long too. Make sure you give yourself enough time to fully extend that leg out to straight. Now twist to one side and hold it. Hold the rotation, curl up higher. Reach for a longer leg. Go to the other side and hold it. Curl up higher if you can. Still breathing. And then you come back to center. And now we'll do that hip stretch. So cross one ankle over the opposite knee and then pull it into your chest for a stretch. We'll do the same hip stretch on the other side. Now we're gonna go into roll over. We already did roll up. We brought your upper half up over the legs. Now we're gonna bring the lower half up over our face. So with this one, you can put the ball between the ankles or the ring between the ankles if you want. Otherwise, just keep the legs together. If you need some assistance, you could use the ball or the roller underneath your hips to help you get into rollover, but you don't have to. If you have that core strength and the flexibility, you could just go ahead and have hips on the floor, legs are straight, and then you bring the legs overhead. You don't really want to be looking left or right when you're in that position because you don't want to hurt your neck. So if you need to watch it first, you can. You bring the legs overhead and then you slowly roll back down. I always give the prep too in the regular class where you just lift the hips and drop the hips. You can just do a little hip lift and then rest. That's good. So I'm going all the way into that rollover. Squeeze the legs together. So if you have that ball or ring between the ankles, squeeze it a little bit tighter. Keep pressing the back of the shoulders of the floor, pulling the belly in. Try and do one more. Take a deep breath, and then slowly rolling all the way back down. So if you have your ball or ring, you're gonna bring it with you as you roll over to your side. On this, you have a couple options for the upper body. You can lay all the way down onto your side with your legs slightly forward. You could prop yourself up onto your elbow, still with the legs forward, or you could balance on your elbow and your legs back so you're in a straight line. So each one progressively gets a little harder. If you want to use your ball or your ring, you press the ball or ring into the floor, and we're going to start moving the top leg. Point as you lift, flex as you lower. Now still think about narrowing the waistline, pulling the belly in, so you're not sinking into the shoulder and dropping the waist. You want to push the floor away to help strengthen the shoulder. Point and flex. Still pulling the belly in, reaching for a long leg. Hold the leg at hip height and draw small circles. Still breathing. Don't let that lower leg get lazy. It's still a working leg. Press harder into the ring. Roll the shoulders down and back. Or the ball, you could push into the floor too if you wanted to. Flex the foot and go in the opposite direction. Reaching out to the heel for a longer leg. Draw the navel in deeper. Don't sink into that shoulder. Keep pushing the floor away, lifting the waistline. Now hold the foot flexed. You're gonna swing it forward and back. And when you do these kicks, you don't wanna move your upper body. Flexing on the kick forward, pointing on the way back. Pull the shoulder blades together. Still breathing. Do one more. And then bring the legs stacked. When the legs are stacked together, you're gonna put the ring or ball between the ankles if you haven't, otherwise just glue the legs together. And then you're gonna lay all the way down onto your side. You wanna use this lower arm for neck support. Squeeze those legs together and then lift and lower. Exhale every time you lift. You should be down a straight line down the center of your mat. So we're challenging our balance. To make it a little harder, you could take this top arm over your side instead of having it on the floor in front of you. Still trying to squeeze the legs together. Still breathing. Do two more. Now lift and hold it and try to squeeze the legs a little tighter together. And then you can take a break. Now if you have the ball or ring, get rid of it because I want to do one more here that we don't really do with the ball or ring. Glue the legs together, lift both legs and hold, and just the top leg is gonna move. Good. Trying to hold that lower leg high off the floor too. When those legs meet together, squeeze them together for that quick moment. Now hold the legs still lifted and together. Now the lower leg is gonna move. Lower leg falls down and then bring it back up to meet the top leg. Keep that top leg strong and stable. Good. Try not to use that hand in front of you for support. I quickly forgot about that part. You do your last one, and then you get to finally rest. We're gonna go to the other side. So grab onto your ball or ring if you want. You can prop yourself up onto the elbow. You can lay all the way down to the floor. What did I do? We didn't do the ringers yet, did we? We did little kicks. I'm already losing my mind. We did circles. Little circles. The leg is up, reach to the toes. Roll the shoulders down and back, pull the belly in. Keep pushing the floor away through the elbow. Good. Remember, you could always lay all the way down to the floor too if you didn't want to stay propped up under your elbow. Now flex the foot and go in the opposite direction. I'm going to go back because normally in a class when people communicate back and forth, they're like, Bridget, you forgot this, you forgot that. So I know what you're thinking. Keep that leg long and straight, reaching out through the heel. Here's where we normally went to the kicks, but you're going to point the foot and you're going to lift and lower. Point as you lift, flex as you lower. Keep that lower leg tight and strong. Pull the belly in. Keep pushing the floor away through this lower arm. If you want to use the ring, you can press it harder into the floor. Pointing and flexing. Rolling the shoulders down and back. Now we're going to hold the foot flexed at hip height, and now we'll go into those kicks. So this one, don't move the upper half of your body. You're trying to stay strong and stable. Keep the lower leg still tight and strong. Flexing forward, pointing back. Keep the leg up. Don't let it fall to the floor. Still trying to narrow the waistline. Do one more forward kick. Last kick back, and then you bring the legs together. Now we're going to use the ball or the ring between the ankles. You're going to lower yourself all the way down to the floor. Remember, you can just keep the legs glued together. Lift both legs and lower. So you want to be down a straight line down the center of your mat, balance on that lower hip. You can challenge your balance more by putting the hand over your side. Try to squeeze those legs together, point the feet, reach to the toes, roll the shoulders down and back. Exhale as you lift. Now lift up and hold and try to squeeze a little tighter, still breathing, and then you can finally relax. Get rid of the ball or ring if you have it. Glue those legs back together and then lift the legs up and hold it. Again, try not to use that hand on the floor in front of you. Now the top leg is going to go up and down. Good. Every time those legs meet together for that quick moment, squeeze the inner thighs together. Still pulling the belly in. Now hold the legs together but still lifted, and now it's lower legs turn. Lower leg falls, bring it back up. Longer legs reaching through the toes. Hopefully you're still working your upper back too, pulling the shoulders down out of the ears. Stay balanced. 2 more lifts. And then you get to take a little break. We are gonna flip onto our belly now. When you're on your belly, we're gonna strengthen our back. So we're gonna start with our elbows tucked by our side, palms are on the floor, and we're gonna be lifting the rib cage up, hovering your hands off the floor, and lower down. You do want to keep the legs kind of lazy, but just long and reaching. Don't try to lift the legs when you lift the rib cage. Remember, you're pulling the belly in, try to narrow the waistline, shoulders shrug down out of the ears, lifting up and lower. We'll do one more lift up and try to hold it. Stay up here, shoulders shrug down, your abs are tight and pulled in. And now keep yourself lifted, put your hands to the floor and come all the way up for your swan. Now you could just do a little extension or you can come up really high. You just don't want to lock the elbows and shrug your shoulders up. And then you're going to lower all the way back down. Make sure your abs are still tight and pulled in. So we start the motion by lifting using our back, and then the hands push into the floor as you come all the way up. And then lower back down. That's good. When you lift up, try to look forward, keeping the neck in neutral. So we're not pushing chin up to the ceiling or dropping chin to your chest. Just keep your neck in neutral. And lower down. We'll do one more of those. Start using your back and then push the hands on the floor to come up. Soft elbows, shoulders are down, and then you lower back down. So we're doing swimming next. Reach arms long, legs are long. You can do this with just the lower body if you didn't want to add the upper body into it. You could just keep your head down. We're going to try to lift everything up and then start swimming. As you're moving those arms and legs up and down, your abs are tight and pulled in, and you're taking deep breaths up high in the rib cage. Reach for longer limbs, shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Now hold everything still, holding this position. We're going to keep the upper body just how it is and do little beats with the legs. So we're tapping the heels together. Remember, you could always rest your hands underneath your head on the floor if you don't want to stay lifted. Hopefully you're still working the upper back to shrug your shoulders down. Now hold the heels together. Bend your knees, squeeze the heels together, and lift and lower the knees. Our upper body is still trying to stay lifted. Our arms are still reaching long. Your abs are tight and pulled in. Squeeze those heels together. Do 2 more lifts. And then you can finally relax. Now we're going to pick up our hips and come up into a little child's pose stretch, rounding your spine towards the ceiling. Now come up onto all fours. We'll do a little bit of extension and flexion here. We'll start with flexion because you just did so much extension. So wrists are right underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips, and you're going to round your spine towards the ceiling. Feel the shoulder blades spread apart, tuck the tailbone under, and then sink the rib cage to the floor as forehead and tailbone go up. Rounding, tucking the tailbone under, pulling the belly in, and then extending. We'll do one more deep breath. Breathe into the back of the rib cage, and then come into your extension. Fix that. We're gonna curl the toes under, and now lift the knees up. With the knees hovering off the floor, this is a lot of pressure under your toes, so you can keep the knees down. I'll give you another option here if you want to work a little harder. You can put the foam roller underneath your hands if you want to focus on trying to stabilize those shoulders and work a little harder. So it's okay if the hands are on the floor or your roller. You're going to alternate a leg lift. So when you're doing this, keep the leg close to the floor as one leg kicks to the ceiling. And really get movement in that hip, swinging that leg up and down. Get that knee up towards the ceiling. Shoulders are still shrugging down out of the ears. Do one more lift on each side, and then you're going to take a little break. You can rest your knees down, go into the little child's pose stretch again. So we're going to do leg pull. And this one, if you have that roller, you can still use it underneath your hands. You could just keep your hands flat onto the floor. We're going to come up into it looks like the full plank, and then we're going to alternate a leg lift. You can keep the knees on the floor if you don't want to get into that full plank. If you can, hold the plank, one leg lifts, lower down, other leg lifts and lowers down. So you're only lifting that leg as high as you can without changing the position of the pelvis. You should be looking at the floor between the hands and not into your belly. Pull the belly in though. Do one more on each side, and then you can finally rest back down. So let's do that same exercise in reverse. Come to seated on the floor. An easier version of this exercise is just to keep your hands on the floor behind you, lift the rib cage, and alternate a leg lift. This is the easier version, keeping hips on the floor. If you can, we're gonna lift up to the full plank. Remember, if you have that roller, you could do this with your hands on the roller. Hold your hips up high. One leg lifts, lower down. Other leg lifts, lower down. Try and keep those hips up as high as you can. Pull the belly in. Push the floor away with stronger arms. You have one more on each side. Then you're going to end up dropping your hips down and then fold forward into straight legs. So sit tall. Your legs are straight, but they're about as wide as your mat. You can use the ring or the ball in your hands if you want, or just do reaching arms. This one's spine stretch forward, and then we're going to do a spine twist. So stack up as tall as you can, pull the belly in, and then your upper spine stretches forward, and then you stack right back up and grow tall. If you have weights, you could use those too in your hands, but stretch forward, and then stacking back up. Shoulders shrug down, pull the belly in deeper. Don't let the legs get lazy. Try to reach out to the heels. Do one more, squeeze up all the ring tighter, reach long arms, and then stack back up. Still holding the stuff in your arms, whatever you got in your hands. Glue the legs together, sit up tall, and we're going to twist. So try not to recline back as you rotate your spine, and then face front, exhale when you twist. Then bringing the air out of the lungs, pulling the belly in deeper. Squeeze up all the ring tighter. Do your last rotation, and then you can come right back to center. Now tuck your tailbone and fall back halfway. Just fall back into a C curve and stay here. We're gonna draw big circles with the arms. Pulling the belly in. Squeezing that ring or ball tighter. You're gonna change direction of the circle. Take one more deep breath up high in the rib cage. When you bring your arms out in front, you come all the way back up to seated. So let's get rid of the ring or the ball. This one's half rollbacks. So make sure you have enough room on your mat behind you. Your knees are bent. Get that roller out of there. Your knees are bent and your arms are reaching. Sit up as tall as possible. Tuck the tailbone and fall back halfway, and then pull yourself right back up to seated. Falling back on the inhale, pull back up on the exhale. So if you do have a ring or ball, if you don't, just keep doing this, the half rollbacks. If you have the ring or the ball, you can lean back onto it like you're reclining. You kind of want it right underneath your ribs, the lowest part of your rib cage, and you can drape back and then pull right back up. You could keep your arms reaching, or you could put your hands behind your head. Either one is fine. You just get a little bit more range in your spine when you have that ring or ball to lean back onto. Either way, your abs are still working. Falling back, pull the belly in, and then grow tall. Do two more. Still scooping your abs. Last one. When you come back up, we're going to hold it, and then we're going to add that rotation to it. So if you have that ball behind you, just ignore it. But you're going to fall back and reach, rotate, and then come back up, and we'll go to the other side. Squeeze the legs together, pull the belly in. That's good. Hopefully your feet stay in the same spot on the mat. One more on each side. Last rotation. Glue those legs together. When you're back to center, take a break if you need it. Otherwise, now work a little harder. Your fingers are laced together behind your head. Fall back halfway and hang out here. You could just stay here, hold, take breaks if you need it. But if you can, add the rotation, make those obliques work. And then gravity tries to take you to the floor. But squeeze the legs together, pull up on the pelvic floor, pull the belly in. Finish this last set. Hopefully feel evened up. And then when you come back to center, you can come all the way back up. So we're going to go into roll over, but then adding to it with scissor kicks. An actual exercise called control balance. So we'll go into some different options here. Back onto your back, make sure there's enough room behind you, because I know as we were going, we kind of changed orientation. Make sure there's no furniture or wall behind you. And we're going to bring our legs all the way overhead. When we get into that rollover, you're going to be doing what looks like scissor kicks. You could just keep your hips down and do another set of scissor kicks, or you could do just rollover, where you pick your hips up and down, or pick your hips all the way up and down. So when you're ready, you're going to bring the legs overhead, and then one leg reaches the ceiling, one leg stays close to the floor, and then you switch. Keep scissor kicking the legs. I'm gonna scoot on it, man. I don't know how well my camera shot is that you could see. That's good. So I see some trying to do scissor kicks and then some doing a rollover. If you can, you just try to combine the two together. Now you're gonna bring both legs together at your face, keep them straight, and then slowly roll down. One vertebrae down at a time until you rest. When your hips are on the floor, bend the legs to tabletop, rolling all the way down. After those hips are down, you can choose to put the ball between your ankles or just keep the legs together. If the ball is between the ankles, squeeze as tight as possible. And I just chose the ball inside of the ring because the ball is more narrow, because you still want knees kind of in line with your hips for now. You're going to lengthen legs out to straight and then back to center. Lengthen out and then back in. So if you don't have the ball, just squeeze those legs together. So as the legs are going in and out, you're pulling the bottom ribs towards your hips, you're pulling the belly in, you're trying not to move the pelvis or the lumbar spine. Do 2 more. 1 more, go out and hold it. With those legs out there to straight, squeeze the ball tighter, or just do little beats where you open and close the legs real quick for little beats. Try to do little pulses, pressing the shoulders to the floor, pulling the belly in, and then you can bend your knees in and then rest. If you have that ball, you're gonna move it to your knees. Otherwise, everybody's just gonna have feet flat onto the floor for now. We're gonna do some single leg bridging. So we did bridges at the beginning with some kicks. This is where one leg is long and straight, other foot stays on the floor. With a leg that's long and straight, you still want to keep your thighs parallel. That's why having the ball kind of helps you keep those thighs parallel, but you have to work your inner thighs harder to squeeze. Feel the low back pressing down so every vertebrae is flattened in the mat. Lift your hips up so you come up into the bridge, press your arms long down into the floor, and then roll your spine right back down. Trying to keep those thighs parallel, keep that leg straight, and then lift up again. So we did not change legs, just keep it long and straight. Do 2 more. And roll back down. 1 more, trying to keep the pelvis level. And then resting back down. We'll do the same thing on the other side. If you have that ball, squeeze it a little tighter, keep the thighs parallel, and lift the hips up. Hold up high for a deep breath, and then rolling back down. Trying to go slow too so you can articulate through the spine. 1 vertebrae up at a time, and then 1 down at a time. Keep that long leg reaching, lifting the hips, and then resting. I think we got 1 more. I think I did 4 on the other side. Lifting up, squeezing, and then rolling back down. And you can go ahead and get rid of the ball. Let's just keep your knees together, your feet flat. We'll do the spine twist, do a little breather. Drop your knees to one side, and then knees go to the other side. So we're going to do some more ab work for teaser. We haven't done teaser yet, so we're going to get into it from the floor up. Some easier versions first. We are going to start with your knees bent, feet flat, but no ball or anything between your knees. You could squeeze the ring between the hands if you wanted to. But as you curl your spine up, it's head and shoulders coming up. You're going to extend one leg long and straight. It's fine if it's just head and shoulders that get off the floor, but still extend one leg long. Now you do want to alternate. So curling up, extending the leg long and straight, and then rolling back down. Keep switching legs, and it's fine again if it's just head and shoulders up, lengthen the leg, and then resting back down. Trying to get your whole spine up good. Reach that leg long. So the foot stays on the floor. That one, I want you to think about pressing it downward into the mat. Trying to still make that leg a working leg. And then resting down. Do your last set. Hopefully you feel evened up. And then you can rest back down. Now, you could keep going with that version of this if you want to. Otherwise, we're going to work harder and bring both legs to tabletop. Squeeze the legs together. Again, it's fine if it's just head and shoulders that comes up and you lengthen the legs. But if you can, try to bring your whole spine up off the floor and lengthen the legs to straight. And then roll right back down, tabletop legs, head and shoulders down. Curling up, lengthen out, still breathe. And then rolling back down, your arms are up. Squeeze the legs together, pulling the belly in, and then rolling back down. Now you can keep going with that version, otherwise we're gonna work a little harder. Both legs are down onto the floor, they're straight, arms are straight to the ceiling. We're going for a full teaser. It's head and shoulders come up first, and then you lift the legs in your spine, take a deep breath, and then try to lower your spine and your legs at the same time. Finish with your arms at the ceiling. We'll do it again. Remember that you could start with tabletop legs. You could keep doing that little alternating leg version if you wanted to, the first set that we did. There's a dog in the camera. We're gonna do one more, lift up and hold it. Now here's your extra challenge. Fall to the floor if you need to take a break. If you can, drop one leg, bring it back up. Drop the other leg, bring it back up without moving your spine. Still breathing. Shoulders shrug down out of the ears. You can do one more on each side, and then you are gonna get to hold those legs together and slowly roll back down, and then just stretch. Reach the arms way back overhead, lift the rib cage, lengthen the legs. Let's go into that little side bend stretch. Grab onto one wrist and pull it towards the side of your mat. You're also gonna walk your ankles to that same side. So you're still facing the ceiling, you're just in the little side bend stretch. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. When you center yourself, you're gonna rock yourself up to seated. When you're seated, we're gonna go into rolling like a ball. You could get into this start position and then just hold it. You don't have to do the rolling part if it bothers your back or makes you feel sick. But glue the legs together, hands are on your shins, shoulders shrug down. Again, make sure there's still room behind you. You're not gonna hit anything like a dog. You're gonna roll back on your inhale and then pull right back up and balance. Try to keep the shoulders out of the ear, squeeze the legs together, pulling the belly in. Falling back, inhale, exhale up. Try and do two more. And then your last one. When you're up, you're gonna stay up. So this goes into open leg rocker. It's kind of a combination of teaser with the rolling like a ball. So now your hands move to the back of your thighs. Your knees are as wide as your shoulders. But keep these legs tight and strong. So if you try to push the legs together, they're not coming. If you try to pull them apart, they're not going apart. You could do tabletop legs and roll back and forth, but the full open leg rocker is straight legs. So you hold on to the back legs, you roll back to your shoulders, and then you come back up and you balance. Remember that you could just keep the legs bent. You could just hold the start position too. You don't have to do the full with straight legs. This is where I wish your microphones were not muted, so you guys can all laugh. When you come back up, we're gonna hold, breathe, and then you can finally rest back down. Now turn your face towards the long edge of your mat because we're going into some side bends. So with this, you're gonna bring your ankles to the bottom edge of the mat, take the top leg and put it in front. So your ankles are really close together. You do want them touching, ankles together instead of your ankle all the way up to your knee. Then you're gonna take the hand on the floor, move it all the way to the top of your mat. When you get up into this, you could keep this lower knee on the floor and stretch this way. You could do this too on your elbow, but we're trying to get up and straighten the legs as you come up into your side bend. So if you can, straight arm, straight legs, and you lift up, making the ring pull, and then all the way back down. Lift up and stretch. Good. Let's do one more. And then you can rest back down. Now we're gonna go and do the same thing on the other side. You're on the other side, ankle in front, hand on the floor, and then lift up. Stretching, still breathing, and then all the way back down. Hollow out the abdomen, shoulders shrug down out of the ears. Lift and stretch. And then you can rest back down. Now I want you to come into a full plank because we're gonna do our push-ups. You can modify this though and stay on your knees. So when you're on all fours, start with your wrists right underneath your shoulders. If you wanna stay on your knees, you gotta walk yourself back into a little modified plank. If you can, lift up to your full plank. Shoulders shrug down out of the ears, and you're gonna do some push-ups. You have two options. You can do the tricep push-up where your elbows stay real close to your waist, or you could do the chest press where the elbows bend wide. Either one is fine. If you want, you can alternate between the two. Do two wide, two elbows narrow. Pull the belly in, force air out of the lungs. Every time you straighten the arms, do one more, Then you're gonna walk your hands to your feet and pull yourself into your straight legs. Hollow out the abdomen, pull the belly in. Keep your abs tight, soften the knees, and then pull yourself all the way back up to standing. I know you can't see me that well in the frame, but make sure down at the back edge of your mat, arms are reaching up to the ceiling, round your spine down and come all the way back down to the floor. You're gonna walk your hands out to the top of the mat, and we're doing another set of our push-ups here. So try to do at least 6 of them, bending and straightening the arms. Hollow out the abdomen, always pulling up on the pelvic floor, forcing air out of the lungs. Now walk your hands all the way back to your feet and pull yourself into the stretch. Instead of pulling yourself all the way up to standing, we're gonna go into some hamstring stretches. So take 1 foot forward, 1 foot stays back, and then lean into this forward straight leg. If you can, try to keep your spine as straight as possible. Take a deep breath up high in the rib cage. If you can challenge your balance, flex the foot, the front leg foot. Lean deeper into it. And when you're ready, you're gonna switch. Same thing on the other side. Straight legs, pull the belly in. Lean deeper, try to keep a flat back. Take 1 more deep breath. And then you can bring yourself back down. Let's come on down to the floor. We gotta do our mermaid. Gotta check out something here real quick. So when you're in mermaid position, you're gonna sit in that Z sit pattern, and either side is fine. You could sit with legs straight. You could sit with the cross Indian style. If you can, sit in the Z sit pattern. You're gonna end up stretching away from your feet. So hand on the floor, take arm overhead and stretch. Then you're gonna come back up and stretch over into the legs. Shoulders down out of the ears, fall over, stretch, and then coming back up. On the third one, we're gonna add a rotation. So fall over again and stretch, then twist, look at the floor, twist back to face front. Hold here in this stretch. I want you to try to rotate and face up towards the ceiling. Turn to face front, and then come all the way back up. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So swing the legs over to the other side. And we're stretching away from the legs to start. So don't necessarily follow the direction that I'm bending, you just gotta stretch away from your legs. And then go into the legs. Good. I know Mary can do so. You can put the hand on the floor too to help you stretch. Hand down onto the mat. Go the opposite way. Good. Now we're gonna add the twist to it. So fall over and hold, then twist. Twist back, face front, face towards the ceiling, face front, and then you can come all the way back up. You can do the counter stretch if you wanted to. Sit with the soles of the feet together. Your knees are wide, and just lean into your legs for a stretch. Your shoulders are down out of the ears. You're still breathing. Now we're gonna do another exercise called tree. So tree, normally when we do this on the reformer, you get this real nice stretch falling backwards over the box. If you have a ball or roller, you could put it behind your back to get more of that extension. So you're gonna end up leaning, but we're gonna start with one leg straight down onto the floor, opposite leg bent. So you pick either one you want. If you have the ball or roller, you could put it behind your back. Either one is fine. If I have my roller, I have to put it a little bit higher. It's such a stiff roller. So with this one, hold on to the leg. You're gonna kick it up, bend it. If you don't have the ball or roller, you just sit tall and hold the leg. You don't have to lean back into it. You're gonna kick that leg up as high as you can, walk your hands up that leg and pull yourself into it. Shoulders shrug down, feel the stretch, don't grip into your neck. Now you're gonna walk down. If you have that ball or roller, hopefully you're gonna recline back onto it. If you don't, you have to use your abs here. Keep the leg straight, and you're gonna try to drape back. You can let go of the leg, keep the leg up. If you can, extend back. Otherwise, you just let go of the leg and hold. Walk your hands up the leg, pull yourself in for another stretch, and then you can finally relax. So do the same thing on the other side. So again, if you don't have the ball or roller, you're really working your abs to hold yourself there, hands back, leg, and walk up. So kick up, we're on the other leg now. The lower leg is still long and straight onto the floor. Kick up and hold it. Walk your hands up that leg and pull yourself in so you feel that hamstring stretch. Hopefully you're not gripping into your neck. Hopefully your abs stay tight and pulled in. Walk your hands down. Hopefully you lean back into that ball roller. If you don't, use your abs to hold yourself here. Let go if you can. And you're going to drape back and stretch. Bring chin to your chest. Walk back up to the top of the leg and pull yourself in for the stretch. And then you can finally relax. Now just sit tall with your legs straight out in front of you. Reach your arms up to the ceiling. Take a deep breath. Keep your arms long, your shoulders down. And then we're trying to keep the back flat as you lean into the legs. And then you return back up to vertical. So we're trying not to round down into the legs. You're trying to keep this flat back as you hinge at the hips and then return back up. Lean forward and return back up. On the last one, you will fall into the legs. So lean forward as far as you can. And then now you can fall all the way down to the legs, trying to bring your face into the legs. Keep your shoulders shrugging down, your abs are tight and pulled in. And then you can bring yourself back up. After sitting tall, just sit tall however you're comfortable. Shoulders down and back, your abs are tight and pulled in. Breathing in and out. Remember, the breath is up high in the rib cage while you're trying to keep your abs tight and pulled in. Always pulling up on the pelvic floor. Shoulders shrug down out of the ears, keep them down. And like I always say, keep your shoulders down, your abs in, pelvic floor up all day long, and then you guys are all done. Yay!